Ready? Zoro can beat Luffy in a fight, Mihawk is stronger than Shanks, the One Piece is a children's storybook, and Buggy is only pretending to be weak. Love it or hate it, it's a fact that One Piece is one of the most successful media franchises of all time, and reigns over all manga as the undisputed king of sales. But why? Well, I already told you 4 reasons. Whether you agree with those smelly takes or not, the long story of One Piece hasn't said anything to prove for a fact that they are wrong. That obviously doesn't mean that they are right, but there's room to speculate, and that's it. Speculation. Well, at least that's the principle. There's a word One Piece fans have probably heard before. It far more accurately describes what I mean by speculation. All stories try to keep mysteries, after all, it's only natural. The magical word responsible for the success of One Piece.
It's called agenda! This is what the agenda does! This is the happiness that it brings! Tell me I don't read the story correctly? Too bad you're not having as much fun as me.
That's right. Agenda. Not in the traditional sense, but the more colloquial meaning. That is, an idea you want to propagate. I'm a hoophead, so let's use a sports example. Imagine you live in Miami. The local NBA team, the Miami Heat, has players who always give back to the community and engage in charity work, so you go to the games to cheer them on and even get to watch the younger players develop over time. You build up fond feelings about them. Now, since you have had a personal connection, when your favorite players get insulted or compared to lesser men, you stand up for them. When it's time for awards to be given out, you campaign for them. I'm on NBA Twitter, so I know this stuff isn't as pretty or innocent as I make it sound, but One Piece has the same thing going for it, right down to the toxic online exchanges. Everyone, myself included, always points to how One Piece has the best world building and uses that to explain its success, but that's shallow and ignorant. Plenty of series tell amazing stories with powerful writing, but that doesn't make them successful. Look at Heavenly Delusion or Netflix's The OA. Those 2 series lacked agenda. They were phenomenal, and audiences enjoyed them thoroughly, but that was it. There was only so much they could do to add to the experience outside of just watching the show. World building alone can't make something like One Piece. The world doesn't just need to be alive, it has to be filled with tiny pieces that connect to all of the different watchers. And the story doesn't just have to have those tiny pieces, it needs to validate them and leave how you interpret them open-ended. Maybe you're someone like Nami who had to fend for yourself growing up. If money was hard to come by, of course you'd value it a lot more than someone who had plenty to spare. And One Piece recognizes that. It makes a point to neither commend nor criticize characters for how they are. Because of this neutrality, you have viewers picking their own side to stand on for each of the 40,000 different moving pieces in the world. Someone who doesn't understand Nami will write her off as greedy, but as someone who understands where she's coming from, you'll defend her. That's where agenda begins. I've been studying YouTube analytics for retention data, so I know when people really lose focus. We've reached that part of the video. If you were about to escape, I don't blame you. I don't have the charisma of someone like Tekking who can sit on the corner of his bed talking about trees for half an hour while you get lost in his passion. I'm still figuring out this whole YouTube thing. I just wanted to ask you to hold on for a little while longer because I'm about to make my point and I hope you're here to hear it. Relating to Nami is normal, but maybe you relate to someone else instead. Because of how wide the world is, fans of the same series can attach themselves to completely different groups of characters and fall in love with completely different aspects of the world. From the mystery surrounding the lost ancient history to the origins of devil fruits to power scaling. A series being able to support so many sub-fan bases sounds amazing, and it is, but That's until you remember that having groups of people with different views share the same space never ends well. Remember when Dragon Ball became mainstream and Goku vs. Superman was a thing? Yeah. Those wars are eternal among One Piece fans themselves. When no definitive answer exists, people tend to make whichever answers push their agenda and die on that hill. Luffy may have higher base strength than Zoro, but Zoro uses swords and Luffy is weak to swords. There are millions of permutations of arguments like that for just about everything in One Piece, so you have fans of rival characters who just flat out hate the other camp, and because One Piece has done remarkably little storytelling for such a long story, you have warring theorists too trying to outprove each other on who's more likely to be correct, and inevitably taking victory laps every 8 years when a theory pans out. Every fan of One Piece interprets and views the story differently, and the story itself is good enough to make you passionate. Whether you stand with the fishman as a victim of discrimination, or you're a racist elitist like the Celestial Dragons, One Piece has a place for you, and has a way of making you want to defend that home. The Celestial Dragons may be trash, but the story doesn't blame them for it. As J. Cole would say, they're a product of their environment. And that's why you get characters like Don Quixote Miosgard among them who go through character arcs and change. This neutral stance on every topic encourages discussion and debate by allowing fans to engage with each other over every small detail in the story. To put it in simple terms, the story farms engagement the same way I do in shorts when I don't explain why I say something negative. Leaving people to assume the worst, then defending myself afterwards works there and works for One Piece too, as all the sub-communities work together to push their agendas, bash the competition, and recruit new members from the people who haven't seen One Piece before. The super diverse group of fans always engaging with the franchise and each other is the best marketing a series can possibly have, and it's all thanks to agenda. Making a One Piece game at 5,000 subs, thanks to the patrons Bolivar Sanchez and Lucas HF for helping make this video possible. This has been Kenchan on the grind.